Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Samantha Emmerling, market editor with Aspire Design and Home magazine. And together with Bellotta Kitchen and Home, we've invited you here today to talk about creating your dream kitchen and why partnering with a design professional is so helpful in getting you there. Now, renovating a kitchen is a ton of fun, but it's also a big undertaking. So we are so lucky to have two incredibly talented, incredibly knowledgeable women here who collectively bring decades of experience in kitchen design.
We publish magazines.
These are designers who are not only up on the trends, but know the difference between the trends that are here to stay and the ones that you'll tire of way too soon. So a big welcome to Aston Smith of Bellotta Kitchen and Home and Cami Weinstein of Cami Weinstein Designs. And I'd like to start by introducing them to you, and then we'll start our talk. And at the end of our conversation, you'll have the chance to ask them some questions of your own. So we'll start with Aston Smith. Aston Smith joined Bellotta's design team in their A&D building showroom in 2012. She has 30 years of experience in residential design with a particular expertise in kitchen design. And in light of creating dream kitchens, Aston believes that the right blend of her client's intent with her own vision of a room's form and function is essential to creating a truly beautiful working kitchen. Aston is known for her lectures at numerous industry events, and most recently in 2019, she was selected over thousands of other designers to be a Best of KBiz judge at the industry's largest trade show. Over the past year, Aston has spent time renovating her own home, giving herself a shared perspective with her clients who are also home and wanting to renovate during these unusual times. And Cami Weinstein of Cami Weinstein Designs runs her own interior design firm based in Greenwich, Connecticut. Cami is another veteran of this business with 25 years of experience in the field. She and her team create environments for modern living, approaching each project in collaboration with the client to create a personalized vision. Cami seamlessly transitions between traditional and modern, creating homes that always feel dynamic. She has a background in fine art and art direction, allowing her to approach each project from a unique perspective. Her projects include residential homes on the East and West Coast, apartments through New York City, and Hamptons beach homes. So with that, we should get started on the conversation, and we can look at the first slide. And I'd like to ask this question of both of you. So say a client is updating their current space or starting from scratch. And what is the best way to address the fact that people are home more and more nowadays? And the one thing that doesn't change is that everyone loves to congregate in the kitchen. So when you design the kitchen, how are you addressing this issue? Aston, I guess we'll start with you, but I would like both of you to speak to this. But Aston, let's start with you.
Thank you so much, Samantha. When somebody comes in and they're looking to do a renovation, it's important to get a good understanding of how they use their kitchen, how many people are spending time in the kitchen on a daily basis, how many cooks are in the kitchen, and what type of extra functions the kitchen's going to provide. During the pandemic, it has become increasingly important to provide workstations in the kitchen that allow people to work from home and still keep an eye on their children, help their kids with school, but also be able to charge their appliances, make a snack. We all know that we've seen the pratfalls of somebody walking into like your Zoom conference with your boss and they're not wearing their clothes. So believe it or not, we actually think about those things now with our clients and plan for that ahead of time. Again, people collect ideas for their dream kitchens over long periods of time. So it's important for us, even though we're up on the most current trends, to be patient with our clients and talk through all of the things that they've put away in the ideas for what they see in their new vision. And we'll work together with them to make sure that they get the most out of their renovation.
Wonderful. And so actually, before we go to Cami, I see that in this space, in the first slide, we have dining area, sort of I would say that's work area at the island, the kitchen island, people to gather, and then you have the cooking area. And then in the other slide, we have the counter seating, but then also a little living space, which is nice to incorporate in addition to a traditional dining space. So let's move to the next slide before we go to Cami. We have a few more examples of kitchen zones that we're referring to. And Cami, how do you approach this issue of everyone congregating in the kitchen more than ever now, and how your design has addressed that?
Hi, Samantha and Aston. Yes, designing kitchens have changed quite a bit lately. People are definitely looking for separate zones. They want an area where the kids can stay and do homework, and they also want an area where maybe they can sit alone and have coffee. In this kitchen zone, we have a counter area, we have a banquette area, and we also have a more formal dining area for a larger group. So all the kitchens are sort of breaking down into different size areas so that fewer people can stay together or larger groups can gather. And I also think it's important to take your kitchen and think about what the rest of your home looks like and make sure that it flows nicely.
And I've heard that even the pets are getting their own zones these days. Is that something that, yeah, if we skip to the next slide, there's a funny pet station. I think it's the next one, sorry. Nope, we'll go back to that. So the pet stations, is this something you're seeing clients ask for more and more? Aston, how about you?
Absolutely. People adore their animals and they're part of their family. And as such, they want to make sure that their animals have a clean, fresh, bright place to eat. It also makes it easier to contain the food so that it's not going all over the floor. As part of that, people have all types of different requirements as far as the fresh refrigerated dog foods and cat foods that are out there. They may want to have a separate little refrigerator near the pet station just for things that are for their pets. And, you know, that's part of what we do. We make that dream come true for them. So, you know, it's important also to think when we're doing this, we have to know what breed the dog is. If you're going to be creating something for a large species, you might actually have a drawer underneath the pet food station, which is where you keep their pet food. And then their actual dishes are at a higher level. And also dried food. There's special pet food containers that we build special pullouts for, just making sure that the animal that's important to them shows through in the thoughtfulness of the design.
Truly thoughtful. I love that they're even getting the attention they deserve in the home as well. Cami, I want to jump back to the slide that we skipped over, which looked like a multi-level island where the countertop drops down to a dining height. And to me, that speaks to a little bit of the zones conversation we were speaking about. But is this a trend you're seeing more and more with this multi-level island?
Yes, we are. We're seeing less bar height islands and more counter height and then table height. And it really makes for a nice seating area, especially if you have young children and they're not teetering up on higher counter stools. They're at like a lower level, and that works out really nicely.
And is there an advantage of integrating it into the island as opposed to having it separate, as we saw in the earlier slides?
It depends actually on the size of your kitchen. If it can all fit in one space, that's terrific. And if it can't, then we sort of break it into two areas. But if your kitchen is large, and particularly if it's a long kitchen laid out that way, it's great to have a lower seating height, a more table height. Works really well.
And speaking of the size of kitchens, you know, they're all different scales. So in terms of storage, how are people adding storage, which is really important nowadays, especially, but always going forward will continue to be important to find little nooks and crannies and places to to add storage. So Aston, there was a clever one here that you devised. Could you tell me a bit about this space?
So for this particular client, it's not uncommon in New York City apartments to have a column just sort of go somewhere straight up in the middle of a space that would otherwise be perfect for a kitchen. So we have to figure out a way to make that space perfect for that client's kitchen anyway. And in this case, this was a mom with 3 daughters who loves to bake. And so by taking a column that was set halfway back in the counter space, we were able to put a full height spice pantry in front of that column. And then in the backsplash behind the column, we put a special walnut pull-out tray for her heavy KitchenAid mixer. And over the years, I've actually just been back to that client's house. She raves about how she and her daughters are able to do great baking projects and they never have to worry about dropping that mixer. So
That's a terrific solution. And do we have other added storage ideas, Cami, that you have been using and utilizing in your projects lately?
Yes, in New York City projects, we have even taken advantage of the toe kicks. And then in the toe kicks, we've put storage for cookie sheets or for like flatter pans. And that works out really well. And it's a very unthought of amount of, an unthought of space. And we've been able to utilize that.
And
So that
tell me about this
I like
new,
that idea.
oh, sorry. And tell me about this new column refrigeration where it looks like you're splitting the refrigerator from the freezer, or possibly even, do we have 2 refrigerators? Do we have options?
we could do anything at all that you like, Samantha. That's one of my favorite things about the newer refrigeration is that typically the refrigerator is part of the classic work triangle, but the freezer is not. We go to our freezer much less frequently than we do our refrigerator. And for that reason, it doesn't actually even need to be in the kitchen. We've been taking them and putting them in pantries next door to the kitchen or on a pantry wall that's not adjacent to the main cooking area, but it's still in a relatable space. So it allows tremendous freedom. As we get, I would say, healthier in our diets and we incorporate more fresh fruits and vegetables and less food actually comes out of the freezer, some clients are opting only to do a freezer drawer in the kitchen or again, adjacent pantry. And that frees up counter space for us in the main prep area. That's really the main bonus. So I'm always looking for new refrigeration ideas and ways to make it better for the client because it is such a major part of the kitchen workspace. That's what I have.
Right, and it seems that people are finding ways to store their wine. There in the next slide, there was an example of some wine storage built in. And Cami, I believe this is your project out in Montauk, is this right?
Yes.
So yeah, is that something being spec'd more and more, the wine storage, maybe now more than ever?
Yes, I would say that most wine refrigerators get even much larger than this one.
Oh dear.
But this one is very handy. It's it can store quite a few bottles of red and white, and the refrigeration level goes from white to red, so that actually is quite handy, and it's great for a quick bottle. And then we do much larger refrigeration units also for wine storage.
And I see beverage centers too are popular. Hopefully those are for the kids and good height for them, right? To grab a soda or juice, something healthy. That's also, I assume, being spec'd a lot now too.
One of the best parts
Yes,
about having
and ice machine. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of ice machines also, especially in the Hamptons.
Oh, Aston, what
Oh, I'm sorry, Aston.
That's okay. I was just going to say one of the best parts of having a separate beverage refrigerator in the kitchen is that you can move it out of the main thoroughfare where people will be preparing all their main meals. So if you have small children who are on, you want to sort of have greater control over what they have snacking access to, you can take a beverage refrigerator and fill it with things like yogurts, cheese snacks, tofu snacks, raisins, nuts, anything like that, that the kids are able to come in and get anytime they want. And it does two things. It keeps them out of the work, three things really, keeps them out of the work triangle. It also allows you to sort of put there what you want them to eat versus them standing at the refrigerator, allowing all of the cool air to go out while they decide between a million things what they want to eat. And then you have, so it actually reduces the wear and tear on the refrigerator, theoretically extending the lifetime of these beautiful appliances.
Super smart, and never had thought that through. That's an amazing point. And before, you know what, actually, let's move on to the material trends. We spoke a bit about this earlier this week, but I was fascinated about the metal that you said was coming back, and, you know, whether it be an accent or a more prominent feature in the kitchen. Aston, I'm going to ask you to just quickly speak to the kitchen on the left. Because are they metal cabinets, or are those laminate cabinets with the metal accents?
Thank you, Samantha. That's a beautiful kitchen done by one of the other designers here at the lot. And he created a beautiful patinaed metal finish for all of the upper cabinets. But he also balanced that out with a laminate, which is one of the other materials that we'll be talking about that is sort of on the forefront of design for many reasons. So that's a fully wrapped metal patina door on the top in combination with a dimensional laminate for that beautiful kitchen.
Great. And then I also love the backsplash on the right with the metal accents in the stone. That's beautiful as well. Moving to the next slide, there is a beautiful countertop with, it looks like marble, but I believe that's quartz. And Cami, I'd love you to speak about the advantages of a quartz countertop over a marble, and, you know, why you would choose that.
This one is actually a quartzite, but we do a lot of the quartzes also. The reason why they've become so popular is they're so easy to care for. We have really been, they don't etch, so your wine, lemon, any of the acidic fruits and vegetables that you would use don't mar the surface. So a lot of people are really moving into these two materials, quartzes and quartzites. In this one, we use Taj Mahal, which is a beautiful beigey quartzite, and it has sort of a crystally look, which a lot of people like that. It has almost like a jewel kind of feel. And the backsplash is called haze. So that is a different material, but it blended really well. And it kind of moved away from the totally all white kitchen. And this island that you really can't see is actually walnut, because I do tend to mix a lot of my cabinetry finishes.
And as far as quartz, because I understand how durable it is, but it seems to be able to mimic marble very well. Are there other stones that they've been able to emulate with the quartz? And Aston, I'm going to ask you about that one.
So yes, with the advent of quartz surfacing, there has been a huge trend over the last several years of improving the pattern and veining to appear more like natural stones. So if your heart leads you to marble, and that's what you really want, but your lifestyle says no, 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 you can definitely look at the patterns from companies like Caesar Stone, Sile Stone. There's one called Alianza. There are so many of them, and they all offer the assurance that they're going to be antimicrobial, antibacterial, and resist chipping, scratching, all the things that Cami mentioned. Cami also said that the kitchen that is in this photo has Taj Mahal, which is a beautiful stone, and it translates very well into either traditional or contemporary kitchens. And actually Decton, which is part of the Cosentino family of surfacing, has come out with a beautiful rendition of Taj Mahal that for myself, if I were looking to use it in my own home, I think that would be the way that I would go.
Good to know. And you had mentioned earlier in the other kitchen that laminate cabinets were used. And you had mentioned also that that is a trend. So I'd love to hear more and have you expound upon that and the laminate cabinets in particular.
So, we know laminate from years ago. Many of us grew up in, 50s and 60s with 70s with laminate countertops, either in our parents' or grandparents' houses before solid surface became a thing. But now laminate has become not the surface we go to for counters, but definitely one we go to for cabinets. And with that, it's partially because the finishes have become so beautiful. Because it's a man-made product, it can be colored any way they want to. They don't have to rely on what nature is producing. So nature could be the inspiration, but man can be the final hand in the artwork. And they offer advantages because it's completely reliable. You know when you're ordering a laminate, what color it's going to come in. You know what the repeat is going to be like on the pattern. We can do very long stretches of what we call book matching on our kitchens, which when you see a horizontal stripe pattern moving across the kitchen, you certainly want to know that that's going to continue fluidly through the whole scene. Laminate allows us to do that. In addition, it's very eco-friendly because we're using recycled paper and lumber products to make these materials mixed with polymers that are all low to no VOC and compliant with all of the latest ecological sort of like government codes. But in addition to that, it also becomes very budget friendly. In order to create some of these exotic, beautiful patterns in a wood species, you'd have to go through so many more processes of treatment on the wood that the cost of the kitchen would go up. So I think it's a perfect example when you look at the kitchen that you showed us before with the metal upper doors, why those two components could be mixed together, because you've given the client both the element of luxury and the element of eco-friendly and budget-friendly to mix together for a very well-priced project.
Right. And Cami, on an earlier slide, you were telling me you like to do a lot of two-tone kitchens. I guess where the island cabinetry, there we go, two-tone kitchens. And I know this is a hard one to do and pull off. So what are your tricks of the trade and how to execute this?
Sometimes it usually is a flow from the rest of the client's home. So we usually will pick either a color that they like for the island and pull that in, or we'll take like a wood that they like. If they have very dark traditional furniture, then we'll flow it into the kitchen, and it sort of breaks up the kitchen so that you don't have such a clearly defined space. So the kitchen becomes more integral to the house. So, and we all seem to really like that. All my clients are very happy with that. I also had a case once where the husband wanted a dark kitchen and she wanted a white kitchen. And by breaking up the elements,
Perfect.
We made them both very happy.
Compromise. It's all about compromise.
Exactly. Exactly.
And actually, as I look at that photo on the left, the huge bank of windows, it makes me think about also another trend that you two had mentioned about trying to bring the outdoors into the kitchen and see how you're doing that. Or if you could, Aston, if you could speak to this first one, and ways of bringing outdoors in, especially again in this time when people are out and about less, fewer and fewer days of the year, and it's just nice to be able to enjoy the fresh air and nature if you can from inside. So how are you doing that?
Well, speaking for myself and so many others, I have a passion for gardening and being outside. And so to have that space outside your house and not be able to fully enjoy it, That's like the perfect marriage, is when you can open up the space and move between the two of them. So we have, over the past several years, seen people moving towards putting in outdoor kitchens where they can entertain and enjoy with fire pits and specially made appliances that are meant to be outside, incorporating grills into stone walls. And we do all that here. In addition, you want to make the appliances that are in the kitchen supportive of what's outside. So oftentimes we'll have a wine bar that is near sliding or folding doors out to the backyard to make it really easy to come in and do beverage preparation and then go back outside and be with your guests. This is an area that is constantly growing and becoming more personalized. The cabinetry that is available for the garden, the materials that are being used. It's a very fast, very creative area to be able to work in. So in the city, we actually do that on people's roof gardens. So it's not just for you guys in the suburbs, it's for the city too.
We get fresh air too.
You get fresh air too.
And Cammie, how are you bringing the outdoors in or going outdoors? We'll do it both ways.
We tried to bring windows all the way down to the countertop. We happen to really love that look. It just really opens up the whole space tremendously. And if not, we like to try to do sinks that look out, out of large windows, because it's really nice if you're stuck doing dishes, you could look outside and either watch your children or look at your garden or look at your pet that's running around. So all of those are really wonderful reasons. And who doesn't love a lot of light? It's wonderful to bring in all of that light into your room.
And that's a trend forever, bring in the light, bring in the fresh air. That's not just now. So that's wonderful. And I think with that, we want to move on to just our last few topics of, you two are clearly up on the trends. So how do you stay up on the trends? And especially now when showrooms are often closed or, open only by appointment. And, there are very few, if no, trade shows. And I know like KBIS, I believe, is not happening next year. So how are you staying on top of it? And Aston, I'll start with you.
Well, actually, many years back, maybe 15 years ago, there started to become a trend towards the digital connection, being tapped into design online with things like the webinar today and social media groups, where as designers we share and explore ideas together. So I think that set us up uniquely for this time where we've had to rely completely on digital sharing. Almost completely. I mean, thank goodness we are open by appointment now, so that's a big help. But the larger companies like Miele, Sub-Zero, us here, many of the surfacing companies, Waterstone, who's one of my faucet partners, I get videos from them on a constant basis in my inbox that I just have to click on. It takes me 2 minutes to catch up on everything that's new that they have to offer, and then I can bring it to the client. So I'd say that my digital and online connections, my social network group of trusted design partners, that's what's keeping me fresh. And we do have new design trends. We're not frozen in time right now. So I would encourage anybody who's interested to make an appointment and come in, and we'll be able to show you in person some of the things that you've seen today and you can see online.
Beautiful. And Cammie, how about you? How are you staying up on?
I would say definitely the same way that Aston is. And also so many partners are kind enough to send samples of stone, samples of doors. Bellotta has dropped off many doors behind my office door for me when I come in, and then they're there. So that is a huge help, because then I can take them, and sometimes I've even left them outside my clients' doors when things were a little bit more restricted with COVID, and hopefully they won't be that way again. But it's a lot of social media. It's a lot of talking to different reps and finding out what's new and what's going on in the marketplace.
Great. And my last question is, how are your clients finding their inspiration? You know, what are they bringing to the table, or how are they communicating their ideas with you? You know, always, but you know, now especially, you know, because it's harder to meet in person. What are some of the ways that you like to have your clients communicate their ideas? Aston, I'll start with you.
So I've been meeting with a lot of my clients on Zoom where we can share screens and they can give me an idea of photos that images that they've saved off websites. And, you know, they still are going to Pinterest and other websites. House is still a big source for ideas and trends. Um, and I like to hear everything that they have to say. I'm a big believer in design what you want first and see what that looks like. I do digital rendering. So if somebody comes in and they want to see how their kitchen will look in a certain finish or tone or door style, I'm able to share that back and forth with them. So they really get a full idea of what their project is going to be. And sometimes that helps us prove that what they saw online and liked is really going to work for their room. And other times they take a look and they say, no, I want to actually shift it. So I think that, you know, I'm very grateful for all of the resources that we have, and definitely Zoom has been a great way to communicate with clients.
And Cami, just get your take on that too.
Yes, absolutely. Zoom, FaceTime, texting, emailing. I would say all of them at all hours of the night and day. Everyone has been, oh, I have this great idea. And they'll like, you know, send it to you. And then, you know, even with Zoom meetings, they're just terrific because you can really hold up samples and show them and go through them. And you can send layouts to clients online and then look at them together on Zoom. Each of you have a set, and it actually works out really quite well. It really has not held any projects back.
Nice. Okay, so I think that is thank you both for all of your insights on everything, and I would love to open this up to the audience, and we have had some questions streaming in. As far as, you know, unusual appliances, or I wouldn't say unusual, but more specialty appliances, we have a question about steam ovens and how steam ovens are being spec'd, and if, you know, more often than in the past. Aston, how about you?
Steam ovens are a great addition to any kitchen, and actually in some kitchens they've replaced the conventional oven that we're used to. Most steam ovens will take up to a 14-pound, what they say, like piece of poultry, like a you know, chicken or something like that. The innovation in that technology is fabulous. It works with a combination of convection heat and infused moisture into the food. So you can adjust your settings so that food is very natural, moist, delicious, but you can also crisp the outside. You can also cook a rice, a vegetable, and a fish all at the same time without any transference of flavor. So it's a very efficient, clean, delicious, healthy way to cook that people are asking for. And if it's a family of 2 or 3, a steam oven may be all that they need.
Wonderful. And we have another question about appliances, about the trends in range hoods. What are you seeing there, Cami?
Oh, they are far more decorative. They are definitely a main design element of a kitchen. They're now coming in so many different metals and so many combinations and mixing of metals. They're truly a wonderful centerpiece to a kitchen now.
Wonderful. And so we have another question that is sort of a good design advice question that I'd love to hear your take on. She says, I'm doing a large kitchen. It will have 2 large islands and a dining table. And would you do lighting over both of them, both islands, and the same pendants, or a long fixture for them, a long light fixture for them? We're just gonna give some good design advice. I can repeat it if you'd like, but basically they have 2 large islands and a dining table. Would you do lighting over both the islands? Aston? I see you're crooking your head, so you have some.
Well, more lighting is always good, as long as it's on a dimmer and you can adjust it. With 2 islands and a dining table, I would not repeat the same fixture over each island. I'm sure the islands are gonna have a different subtle nuance to them, as well as the dining. I think with the dining table, it's lower, and if it is a pendant fixture, you wanna have it slightly closer to the table. Whereas with the island, you want to make sure that you have headroom if there's going to be seating at the island, that people aren't looking straight at the bottom of a fixture. So I think my inclination would be to mix it up. What do you think, Cami?
I would definitely mix it, and I think I would leave lighting off one of the islands. I think you kind of need a little bit of a visual space, or visual emptiness would be nice. So maybe you're going to put a fixture over your cooking, your working island, and then over the seating island, maybe not. And then your dining table would have a fixture. It also depends on where all of these are. If they're all stacked up in a room, then I would definitely break it up with having 2 fixtures, or 2 of the fixtures, and leaving one island free
Gotcha.
of any lighting.
Oh, sorry. Say that again.
I definitely would leave a space, one island I would not do any overhead lighting on. I'd probably do hi-hats, but I would not have another fixture dropping down. It would be a lot.
And we do have another question about kitchen flooring. What trends are you seeing in the flooring? Aston, we'll start with you there.
I think we continue to see a trend towards softer surfaces in the form of hardwoods. Porcelain tile, large format would be the next category of growth. We don't generally, people will ask about things like cork. It's not something that we generally use once in a while, but not in a very long time. So I'd say hardwoods, scrubbed finishes where the grain has been worked out of the wood so that it's got a more natural sort of aged look to it is very popular. So woods and large format porcelain tile. Narrow grout lines. We don't like big grout lines these days.
That's good to know. Good to know. And Cami, how about you? What are you seeing in terms of trends in flooring, kitchen flooring?
I would have to agree with Aston on that. Definitely wood is still hugely popular, and so are porcelain, either large scale or porcelains that look like wood, that are in that sort of plank form. I'm seeing a lot of that also.
Okay, so oh, we have one more. What are your thoughts on LVT in the kitchen?
LVT, is that the veneer?
Oh, maybe veneer. I don't have time to Google it.
Can we?
LVT. Brooke, if you can pop up and say what LVT is, you've stumped us all. Luxury vinyl tile.
There you go. Okay, so some, but not too much. Most people do if somebody were doing a kitchen where they were not actually replacing, say, all of the cabinetry, they just wanted to redo the floor, they tend to do a floor like that goes up to the cabinets. In most cases with us, when we're doing a full renovation, they want a whole new flooring surface and then the cabinet goes in on top. So while we would do that, and we'll explore any product a client brings to us, for the most part, we do too much of that.
I see. And then we have another question about cabinet fronts and what styles are we moving to there? Cami, could you field that one, please?
Sure. I would say in modern kitchens, we're doing all flat fronts. And in more traditional spaces, we're all doing recessed panels. I have not done a raised panel in, 20 years, I would say. So that would be where the trends are going. And there are some of the recessed panels don't have to look strictly shaker. They have nice little details and edges. So there's really a lot to choose from.
I see. And we have a question also about the you using a wood island that was in walnut, and they're asking, would you match wood floor to the wood island color or not? If the island,
Um, in the particular case that we did, the floor was actually a little bit darker than the
Mhm.
island color. The island walnut was a little bit lighter. I don't think I would match them exactly, but they should definitely stay in the same family.
Interesting. Okay. And another question about kitchen lighting. Are you still seeing pendants? Aston, how about you?
Yes, but I would say the trend is towards simpler, some lighting that still looks like it's sort of a combination of reclaimed factory type lighting. We still see that in our more sort of transitional towards traditional kitchens, but clean, slim fixtures. We do have a couple of artisan light vendors that we work with here in the showroom that will custom make anything that the client wants. Where oftentimes you'll have an articulated bulb inside of a glass shade that's custom made for that fixture, combinations of that type of lighting, but fun stuff,
Fun stuff. I love it.
fun stuff.
And here's one that I've been dying to know too, because I love this trend. And we have a viewer who would like to know if gold or brass hardware pulls will stay in style, because please say yes.
I think they will stay in style for a while, and they may transition out, but they'll come back in. Everything does have its day. Normally when people are making a decision and it's for something that they feel like might be trendy in the way of a hardware finish, I'll
Mhm.
suggest that they keep their drilling spaces to something simple, either a knob or a standard center set, so that if down the road they want to refresh the kitchen, if they feel like brass is out and it's not coming back for, they can very easily go and find a replacement hardware to fit the bill.
Super smart. And Cami, do you agree? Is that what you're thinking
Oh,
about?
yes, everything will come in and out of style.
Except the built-in stuff. Except the built-in stuff. Everything you said is here to
Exactly.
stay, right? Okay, so I think we're gonna wrap that up then. And for everyone watching, thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Cami. Thank you, Aston, for giving us all these insights. It's been really, really helpful, and I hope everyone enjoyed. And if you would like, on the last slide, we have contact information for both Cami and Aston. And thank you again for joining, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye,
Thank
everyone.
you so much.